Hello, everybody. I have something on my mind because today we're taking a big hitchhike. A friend of mine from Modesto is having his birthday today, and I really want to go and see him and support him. But even more so than that, I really want to make sure that we reach that November 21st deadline for Paradise. When I started things off, I was really expecting to have a little bit more free time. Before Thanksgiving was a pretty nice number of days, but once you start slashing that, it starts to get a little bit dicier. But I feel really lame because going from Fresno to Modesto is like 94 miles that is being saved. And I know that this is not like a Guinness Book of World Record, but I do feel lame. And so I have a solution to this and all future hitchhikes, which I would still like to encourage. I want people to feel like they can be a part of the journey. This is really a story of community, not so much a story of one guy doing something crazy, although it is. When I finish my trek to Paradise, I will tabulate the grand total of all the miles that we saved by car, and I will do them by foot back in Altadena again. So I'm gonna call it the Victory Mile or the Victory Lap. I think it's a pretty fun name. And I'll spend that time not only getting all the miles done that we sort of skipped over to sort of reach that goal of 700 at the end of the day, but I'll also spend that time, going on radio stations, getting the word out, and being maybe a little more assertive with the fundraising aspect. I'm just one guy, right? So like most of what I've done so far has really just been me, focused on getting from point A to point B to point C to point D. I haven't had a lot of time beyond like editing videos and things and making a few posts to like really get the word out. So I think that's going to be a win-win, having a little bit of closure there to sort of like put a bow on top of the gift of everything. And also, again, so that there's no asterisks. So you guys don't think I'm lame, but more importantly, I don't think I'm lame. So stay tuned. Modesto, gonna be a lot of fun today. Birthday party for my friend, B Sleazy, otherwise known as Will. And it should be a blast. I'm really excited. This is Will, and after sharing some in and out, we hit the road and eventually made our way to the compound area he lives in near Modesto. It's a town called Riverbank. And this is awesome. This is a huge setup.
Oh yeah, got a little fire pit right here.
How many roommates total do you have?
3.
Whoops.
3 roommates.
And looks like you got fruit too. After browsing all the retro games and figures, I had a great time eating some of these delicious birthday cookies.
With her family recipe and stuff.
Your coworker made Prince cookies with her family recipe, and she made a whole bunch, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yo.
She's great.
Hey. You're so cute. You're very cute. Will's place is a house for cats, but I was looking forward to meeting some cool cats, which is to say all of his friends for the birthday dinner. We went to a place called Church Keys, which is apparently a locally famous spot in Modesto. Not hard to see why. Very delicious food, had a really cool vibe in the outdoor area. I was pretty lame. I only had one drink, but the food was delicious, and we ended up bar hopping a little bit, checking out some other spots. And because it was the day after Halloween, we had a spooky time. So that was quite an ordeal last night. As you can imagine, when drinks and good times get together, some folks have more of a reaction. I was great. I'm just peachy. My hair might be a little disheveled because I didn't get the best opportunity to shower this morning. But other than that, things are pretty good. I saved the relationship of two 21-year-olds. And what did I get in return? Loud conversation in the common area where I'm trying to sleep at 3 a.m. So, I'll say this. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, wish I were a little bit younger. I'm sure everybody does. But moments like that, I'm like, I like my mentality. If I have to go back to 21 and have the 21 mindset, ooh, are you really doing anything of note? Probably not. So we are currently a bit ahead of schedule again, thanks to our little hitchhike, if you can even call it that. Again, stay tuned for that victory lap. I do feel pretty lame about all this, but I crunched it out. If I were to continue moving on my path, I would make it to Paradise by the 17th, but that means that would be 0 stops, right? So obviously, now that my deadline is the 21st, that means I've got about 4 days of full rest, which is very doable. This is like a nice pace. Obviously, it could have been a little slower if Thanksgiving were still the goal, but still, I'm really happy with that. And I've got two options today. One is about a 4.5 hour walk to Ripon. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. The other is Manteca. And I'll tell you, one way or another, we're making it to Manteca, whether it's tomorrow or today. And there's an area called the Great Wolf Lodge. One time for Christmas, my family and I stopped there to get a Dunkin' Donut. And we were repulsed, okay? We were like, this is this like indoor water park is probably the worst way to spend Christmas with a family. But I think outside of like that holiday season, I would be very intrigued by it. And I am very intrigued by it. So we will definitely be checking that out once we make our way over. Driving to Riverbank was pretty cool and all, but walking through it is a much cooler vibe. I very much enjoyed all the ducks in this little pond. I also thought this random shopping cart was quite funny. But very quickly, I ran into a problem. Okay, this is a little awkward. My map is giving me the most direct route through here. It's a canal area that does have a walkable path, but it's gated off, and more importantly, talking about how trespassing, loitering is prohibited by law. Don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in. So yeah, I'm gonna need to find another way. And unfortunately that does seem to be more roundabout. Google Maps letting me down for the first time. My detour was about 45 minutes slower, but it was worth it because I saw a horse. And despite my route taking me to the 99 freeway, which is a pretty big and notable one, there was actually a very cool way to go through it. All right. Really glad to not be directly on the freeway here. It looks like it's a tight little bike lane. So for what it's worth, pretty crazy that I can actually go parallel to the 99. Wow. Not only was this bike trail way more secluded and safe, but it was also really pretty. I loved crossing through the bridge, seeing the locks that people put up on the sides. It felt like the closest thing we'll get to an autumn in Central California, which is to say, not very colorful, but still full of beautiful greens that just make you smile. All right, this is the halfway point. I could call it quits here. It's about 2:30, give or take, and could stay in the city of Ripon, or I can make it to the Great Wolf Lodge, and I've got the energy to go. And you know what's going to help fuel me? More McDonald's Monopoly. I'm going to get a soft serve right now. It was nice to have something soft because the trail was about to get a lot harder and a lot more awkward. Despite yet another road closure thanks to construction and no thanks to Google Maps, I did eventually make it to the Great Wolf Lodge. Okay, this place is crazy. I'm looking forward to washing up and maybe even getting a swimsuit to hang out. I met somebody at the reception from Altadena, and she hooked me up with a free pizza. So looks like I know what I'm having for dinner. If you're unfamiliar with it, the Great Wolf Lodge is a small chain of indoor water resorts designed mostly for kids and families. It's kind of like a very compact Disneyland. There's all sorts of goodies to explore, like a Build-A-Bear, all sorts of food and things like that. Just as you'd expect from a lodge, all of the decor is very woodsy, cabiny. It is right up my Scoutmaster alley, and I had a blast with it. It was my very first time ever attending something like this, other than that one Christmas story I talked about in a previous vlog. I was starving, so I went to go get my pizza and I wolfed it down, pun intended. I have to tell you, they were quite generous as well with the soda. They gave me one of those massive 2-liter things of Diet Pepsi. That was the only flavor they had, but that's cool. I'll take it. And I'd just like to say that if I end this trip only losing like 3 pounds, it's because of meals like this. And even more so than that, breakfast in the morning was just incredible. My favorite of the entire trip so far. You know me, I love a good continental breakfast. This one was not necessarily free, but it was comped as well as the pizza. So thank you very much to the Great Wolf Lodge for sponsoring my meals for this trip. And look at that. There's even an ice cream sundae bar equivalent for pancakes. Whether you've got a wolf pack or you're a lone wolf, there's something here for everyone.